No, I think they will be talking law. It's not, you see, the facts are clear. The law is this, because whatever pronouncement the Supreme Court has made becomes a law. The law that is on ground now is that the interpretation is that for the purpose of the double domination that Uche Nwosu enjoyed from Action Alliance and APC, nullify the fact that APC didn't have a candidate. So how come as a court you also pronounce the party that ought not to have a candidate as the winner of the election of Imo State governorship election?
What went wrong there?
So it's politics of the court. And
Nigeria have a judicial system that is trustworthy and for anyone to run to in order to get justice at any point in time. And this is what many Nigerians, when you ask them on the street, they tell you the court is a hope of the common man. But unfortunately, recently we've seen a lot of kangaroo judgment that have necessitated Nigerians never to have any form of hope for the judicial system anymore. But are we about to see that the court in Nigeria is now being resurrected once again under the watch of the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whom many Nigerians have seen that is a president that stole the mandate of the people. But then, with the same court, turn around to send him packing as 23rd of October, the Supreme Court will be sitting to hear what the appeal of PDP and Labour Party candidate Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, whom Nigeria hold in high esteem as the real president after the 25th of February 2023 general election. Now, the real matter here is not even about the appeal of Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi of PDP and Labour Party, but then it is the election coming up in Imo State sometime next month, and then the PDP candidate is asking the Supreme Court to disqualify Hope Uzodinma as the gubernatorial candidate of the 2019 election. Now, this is very funny. We are in 2023, but the matter of 2019 general election is still at the Supreme Court. Remember, the same Supreme Court, declared Hope Uzodinma, which many people see as a Supreme Court judgment. But before I go further, I have a video that I'm going to play for you to understand much more about this Supreme Court saga, as the Supreme Court shot itself on the leg. And
of Hope Uzodinma, I didn't have a candidate because the Supreme Court had ruled in a case before it. I think that was brought by Uche Unadi of the Action People's Alliance, and then which had also, which was supported also by the PDP, that having pronounced that Uche Nwosu was sponsored by Action Alliance and the All Progressives Congress, he was disqualified. There was no fact as to the fact that the APC quickly did the primaries that was acceptable, and then Hope Uzodinma became his candidate. Even if there was a valid primary to that extent, the fact that the Supreme Court had made that pronouncement, APC didn't have a candidate for that election.
Let's just...
Now, it is very obvious that the Supreme Court, has shot itself on the leg. The question now is this: will the Supreme Court turn around to redeem itself from the mess they put themselves in 3 years ago? We all remember how Hope Uzodinma became the Supreme Court governor, as many Nigerians were not happy with the judgment back then in 2019. Fast forward to 2023, the current Senate President, Akpabio, the former governor of Akwa Ibom State, emerged as a senator even when he never contested for the position at the primary stage. What happened to Ahmed Lawal, the former Senate President? All those judgments given by the Supreme Court is one thing that make Nigerians never to believe that justice can be served from the Supreme Court. Again, the Presidential Petition Tribunal sitting in a Appeal Court in Abuja, he also gave one funny judgment that Nigerians are yet to forget, in a hurry. But now, the APC candidate, the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is, trying to respond to the appeal of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, and Labour Party candidate, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, at the appellant court, where the hearing will be, today, being 23rd of October 2023, has a lot of baggages in his, covered. But the question now is this: will the Supreme Court do the needful? I haven't seen a lot of evidence beyond reasonable doubt. But then let me quickly let you know that the Imo State gubernatorial election that is instituted for next month will not go ahead. Why? Because the APC candidate Hope Uzodinma, whom was declared by the Supreme Court back in 2019, may not even contest for this election because of the fact that the Supreme Court is about to upturn that decision made back in 2019 by installing the PDP candidate as the real governor of the Imo gubernatorial election 2019. And here is a video to give you the details of this scenario. It's a funny event, unfolding as we draw closer to the gubernatorial election in Imo State.
No, I think they will be talking law. It's not. You see, the facts are clear. Yeah. The law is this, because whatever pronouncement the Supreme Court has made becomes a law. The law that is on ground now is that the interpretation is that for the purpose of the double domination that Uche Nwosu enjoyed from Action Alliance and APC, nullify the fact that APC didn't have a candidate. So how come as a court you also pronounce the party that ought not to have a candidate as the winner of the election of Imo State governorship election? What went wrong there? So it's politics of the court, and that is what the court appears to be set to correct. The court will now it's now asking itself, because I believe the prophecies of late Justice Wednesday has started to haunt the court so quickly by saying, look, the Imo matter will haunt you as a Supreme Court if you don't address it. And in this case, that is maybe the only reason why the court will dare to say, go back and do something that would have actually hurt itself. Where it failed to have made a pronouncement 3 years ago, it has now had the courage to say, no, we must make a pronouncement. And I think that should be more of a credit to the Chief Justice of Nigeria, because this is coming under his watch. The expectation is that Nigerians are watching very closely. On the 31st, perhaps there will be an outright judgment, because the briefs have already been canvassed, they've been submitted and canvassed, arguments have been canvassed. So, and again, I like the fact that the PDP lawyer, from the reports I read, is saying that courts, we are not asking you to review your judgment. We're simply saying, give effect to your judgment. If you see, I cannot attempt to prognosticate what the Supreme Court will do. Their minds, what's on their minds. I may know that, but because of the subjudicial nature of the situation now, I perhaps may not want to. However, look at it. This matter is straightforward in one way. The difficulty is in the resolution. The straightforward nature of the matter is that APC didn't have a candidate when it went into election. Yet the APC, a self-declared candidate, so to speak, won the election in the person of Hope Uzodinma. Now, in that case, and affirmed by the Supreme Court. Now, what would the Supreme Court do when it now goes back to its earlier judgment before the election, where it affirmed that APC didn't have a candidate? So the Supreme Court it has a very straightforward position in that regard. The difficulty is this: what will now happen? It will either think of restoring Meka Hedioha if it stands by its earlier decision, or will it agree with the All Progressive Grand Alliance that a fresh election will be conducted in Imo State? Whereas Hope Uzodinma has been governor for such a long time and is hoping to get re-elected. So this conundrum, is this an issue of justice? Is an issue of politics? Or to be resolved? This burdensome resolution is upon the Supreme Court to give to Nigerians, and that's what's making it exciting. And again,
you see that the problem here in Nigeria is this: sometimes they do something, they act before they think. Under the current dispensation of government, the APC-led government, how can you declare somebody as a winner of the election, knowing fully well that the same party that the person declared as the winner of the election, you as the court once said that the particular party has no candidate for that particular election, and now you are coming here to give a judgment or maybe a hearing after 3 years, allowing the party's candidate as of that time to rule for 3 years and 5 months. This is very, very uncalled for, and many Nigerians are reacting to this particular scenario. That they call Hope Uzodinma the Supreme Court governor. We remember how he promised the people of Imo State that they'll be getting jobs overseas, and he has a communication with some diplomats that when their visas comes out and all of that, which was exposed by the Labour Party candidate. Now, resources has been put on ground, money has been spent for the forthcoming gubernatorial election, but then will the Supreme Court turn around, to declare the PDP candidate as the winner, even though INEC declared him as the winner initially before the Supreme Court removed him and installed Hope Uzodinma, who was not even supposed to be the governor of the state in the first place. But then, if the Supreme Court turn around to give that judgment and bring in the PDP candidate as the governor of Imo State, what happened to the Labour Party candidate? What happened to the ACL candidate? What happened to other candidates who are vying for that position in 2023? Remember, the same scenario, similar, anyway, happened to His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi back in Anambra State over 15 years ago. Well, he won this election, but was rigged out just like the 2023 presidential election. He went to court, and he lasted in court for 3 years as a clip. Then, and at the end of the day, the court, returned him back as the governor of Anambra State. But then, what happened next? He wanted to, go and contest for the second term, as the 4 years have elapsed already. But then, he went to the Supreme Court after the advice of Femi Fanala, and at the end of the day, he went on to be the governor, from 2003. When he ran for that office, and he left office in 2014. You see, all this kind of shenanigans, kind of judgment in Nigeria is the reason why the democracy in Nigeria is not moving forward. Anyway, what do you think about this video? What do you think about these Supreme Court's only development coming from the Supreme Court? Do you think anything good can actually come out of this? Please, before you stand up to start judging or defending any political party, remember those politicians don't really care about you, but their personal interests. Thank you for watching.